Hello, time to do another raised bed update here at Homegrown Veg. As the name implies, a garden at home. I haven't got that much room, that's why I use a lot of pots and bags to grow vegetables in. But I do have 3 raised beds tucked away at one end of the garden, and they're quite productive. And I probably tend to overcrowd them because I only have 3 raised beds. But we're starting to harvest vegetables now from those beds. So let's go down to the beds and see what's going on. Come on, let's go. Molly's not one bit interested in this raised bed update. She knows I'm not dropping any pots or emptying any bags. She knows there's no potatoes, she knows there's no carrots. She is not one bit interested. This is my gardening assistant. You can't get the stuff these days, can you? This is my bottom raised bed, and right in front, under the netting, we've got some beetroot growing. I've been inundated with sparrows this year, and when they got through the mange too, which I've now harvested, they started on the beetroot and they've just pecked it to bits. But I've got this net over there now, and so the sparrows can't get at it. Under the spent mushroom crate that you can see, I've sown some parsnips. For the last couple of years I've done that indoors on damp tissue. And got some really good parsnips. But for some reason this year I've missed the boat. So I've sowed these guys direct in the garden, and they're well behind, so I'm not too sure I'll even get anything off those guys, but we'll leave them, we'll let them see where they go. The chicken wire that you can see on the bamboo frames, that's where the mange 2 was. And it cropped really well, despite the best efforts of the sparrows to strip all the leaves off it. But we've done well with that. And right in back, you're looking at some Bunyard's Exhibition broad beans. I'm harvesting those now, so perhaps this is the last you'll see of those. You missed the mange 2, I think, but you may catch the second crop if we're successful. Okay, we'll just go around on the middle raised bed now. This is the middle raised bed, and as you can see it's my onion bed. In the back we had 80 stewron planted, and at the front, closest to the camera, we had 40 red barn planted. These were all onion sets. Of the stewron, we've probably had a dozen or so gone to seed, and I pulled those out. But at the front we've had a red skin disaster. Just about all of the red barn went to seed. In fact, I started marking them with the white plant markers, but run out of markers. There was that many had gone to seed, and it became easier to count what was left in the bed rather than count what had gone to seed. So actually left in this bed of those red skins, there are three onions still growing. There's one there I think you may be able to see, and there's a couple down the front here I think you might be able to see. But the rest went to seed. So what I did was I yanked them out. I just pulled them, and I asked people's advice about what to do, but in the meantime I'd actually bought some onions grown from seed at the local garden centre, and replaced the red skins with those. Now these are those onions. Take a look at this and tell me, if you can, what you think variety these onions are, because that information isn't on the plant label. And if they do well this year, I might want to grow them again next year. So I really need to know what they are. So these smaller onions that you see in front, they're the ones that replaced the red skins that went to seed, and they seem to have kicked on reasonably well now. So fingers crossed we might get some onions off those. Now, I have had contributors telling me that perhaps pulling onions out that have gone to seed isn't the way to go. Perhaps you just leave them in, see what you get at the end of the season, and eat what you get. So there are a couple of onions I've actually just snapped the seed head off. And left it hanging there and marked those onions. And these are onions that have gone to seed, but we'll leave them in the bed till the end of the season and see what we get. Okay, let's go on to the top raised bed. This is the top raised bed, my third raised bed, and in the front are the tail end of some spring cabbages. They're just about finished now. They could do with coming out, and I've got a couple of courgettes in there starting to kick on now, so they'll need that space. So this might be the last you'll see of those spring cabbages. Back in the bed we've got some Brussels sprouts, we've got some curly kale, we've got some broccoli, and we've got some, what else have we got? Cauliflowers. Okay, I got these given. A gardening friend of mine brought these up as plants in deep root trainers, and I just transplanted them into the beds, and as you can see I've packed them in. But some of these are ready to harvest now. Let's go a bit closer and see what we can see. Okay, as you can see, these broccoli are starting to get decent sized heads on them. I'm not too sure when they actually go to seed and start to flower as such, but I think these guys are probably as big as they're going to get now, so I'm going to have to start and take these. There's a couple in like that out of the 5. Curly kale doing really well. I haven't had any of that yet, but I'm going to need to get stuck into it before long. And in back are the Brussels sprouts packed in behind, and you'll probably see next to the fence there's potato tops sticking up. That's the potatoes I've got in bags. Now let's go around the other side, because I don't think I can reach from this side, but I want to show you one of these cauliflowers. How's that looking? Purple. That took me by surprise, and it's because I hadn't started these brassicas off. I didn't expect this, so I had to speak to my mate about what he'd actually given me and should they be purple, and he said, yep, they should be purple, you're okay there mate. So they're quite small at the moment, but they're coming on, so it won't be long we harvest those either. And these are the broccoli from this side of the bed. I think you can see they're all looking good. And while I'm up this end, I'm going to just pan round and go to carrot corner. I've got loads of carrots growing in pots, as you can see. The white material around them really is just to bunch the leaves up to stop the leaves snapping off. We get fairly strong winds blowing through the garden, and it's a shame when plants break off. Not too sure if you can see that. There's some celery in a pot there. These are the leeks. These are leeks in pots. Again, I've got the pop bottle windbreaks on there, and I've actually just put some material in there just to keep them upright. That isn't the material I'll use to blanch these leeks, but it'll do a job for the time being. We spin round here because we're here. These guys, that's those Sarpo Mira. Remember, I had Sarpo Mira left and nothing to plant them in, so I put them in 10-inch pots. They look as though they're doing well, so I'm happy with those guys. More celery, more Sarpo Mira. Okay, so I think I've given you a bit more than I intended here. I got carried away on this raised bed update. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.